The old city of Jerusalem is an incredibly tiny place, but it's surrounded by walls. It's not more than 1 mile from any point to the next. It's divided into 4 quadrants: the Christian quarter, the Jewish quarter, Muslim quarter, and Armenian quarter. But there's a biblical scholar named Jerome Murphy O'Connor. He described it this way. He said, "The walls of the old city of Jerusalem enclose without dominating. They limit, but they do not define. The impression of strength in those walls is an illusion, because the city is not a fortress, and its walls are not a barrier, but they're a veil." And I would say that is so true. Because when you go to that place, you go to that city, there are various gates throughout. There is the Zion Gate, Jaffa Gate, New Gate, Damascus Gate, St. Stephen's Gate, and the Dung Gate. There's no barrier in front of them. You can just literally walk right in. There might occasionally be a police presence there saying, "No, you can't go in this gate right now." But for the most part, you can just walk in and go exploring, visiting sacred churches, sacred sites, go to the marketplaces. You can go in and interact with the world. Obviously, you're going to play it safe. You're in the middle of a city, but you just walk through the gate for a really amazing experience, and I would love in a year or two to take more of you there. But all of us in the room, we know what gates are. We've gone through them our entire lives. Gates are a point of entry, and they're a place of exit. We're familiar with them because perhaps we have an enclosed backyard with a gate there. We've belonged to a gym or a pool, and we present our card at the front desk. Once we do that, we're allowed to go in the back and experience the amenities. Perhaps our workplace is secure, and we have to present some sort of card that allows us back into a more secure area. We're familiar with gates because we've gone to concerts or sporting events or amusement parks where we've had to purchase tickets. We give them to an usher at the gate who, if we have the right ticket, they let us back in. They say, "Come on in and enjoy." When we enter through a gate, we expect to be entertained. We expect to be there for some sort of experience. But without a ticket, without a membership card, without the proper key fob or the proper credentials, you realize it's not open for you. You'll be denied access by either a person or some sort of barrier. So the other reality of this world is some gates act as barriers. They are there to restrict us. They define who's allowed in and who's not allowed in. It makes sense in some settings. A stadium can only be so big to accommodate a certain number of people. You can't have an unlimited size stadium. So obviously, only you get the point. The big problem I would see in this world is this. I think we encounter who have a gated mindset or a gated world view. Gated worldviews are people who restrict others. They, by the way they think, they really are, what's in it for me is what they think about. As long as we're in the in group, that's all that matters. As long as we're on the inside, as long as our needs are taken care of, it really doesn't matter. The world is good if I'm taken care of, the world as it should be. People with gated mindsets, we encounter them. They're closed-minded. They sometimes pick on other people or label someone unfairly without ever getting to know them at all. But the sad reality is some people with closed mindsets, they see people in front of them. They might even know them by name, but they ignore the need. Jesus had something to say about gated mindsets and gated worldview. In the story I just read a few moments ago, Jesus is talking to his disciples. He's talking also to the Pharisees. And Jesus he was a great storyteller. He would tell stories to challenge people. Sometimes he would tell a story because he really wanted to unsettle you and get you thinking. But he was always telling a story that would kind of say something about the way the world currently is, but in the process he would be trying to point you to something else, about the way the world should be, about how we should behave, how we should treat other people. So it's a classic story we get today. It's about 2 people, and Jesus was forever telling stories that compared 2 different types of people. So he describes the daily reality of two. In particular, the first person is a rich man. Makes it clear this man is defined by his resources. In the Greek, it's clear he's living in a palace. He's living the highlight. He would have been one of the elites of society. And the portrait is of someone living in the lap of luxury. He has more than he could possibly need in this lifetime. He's comfortable. And I don't know, all of us have probably been to holiday parties before where you just ate and ate and ate too much and you wondered, why did I do that? The portrait here is he's eating that way every day of the year. That's his daily existence. Very, very comfortable life. Living inside the gate. But right on the other side of the gate sits the second man. It's the only parable in which Jesus actually gives a person a name. He's given the name Lazarus. And the name Lazarus means he whom God helps. So Lazarus is actually there. He's so weak, so sapped of strength, it says he's thrown there every day, thrown there outside this gate. There's no mention of him doing anything. There's no mention of him ever saying anything. He's hungry and great need and actually too weak to even beg. Both men die. Both men die, and then we learn a few things about the rich man, don't we? When you listen to it, it's clear the rich man knows Lazarus. He calls him by name. And what that means is he's seen him. He's noticed him. He's recognized his proximity to him, yet he has never done anything. Even in death, it says he's trying to order him around, if you listen to that again. But it's clear the rich man has kept his distance, but it's too late in the story. He's kept the food, kept the table, kept the scraps to himself. He's only surrounded himself by a close-knit group and left the Lazarus of the world outside the gate. In the Greek is, it's not all it's meant to be. It's confusing, but there are certain things I learned along the way in seminary. Anytime the passive tense is used, it refers to this is God's activity, not human activity. There's no initiative of Lazarus going to this gate. It says God placed Lazarus at that gate every day. Placed him there every day, saying to the rich man, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I think it says a lot to us. It says that God was hoping and praying that the rich man would come outside and help Lazarus in some way. He was hoping and praying that the rich man would literally, spiritually, and emotionally help Lazarus. God was hoping every single day that the rich man would come out and connect and engage and spark a relationship. God is hoping that he would begin to live for others, not just himself, that he would learn to share his resource, that he would open up his table and be more inclusive, that he would invest in more than just his comfort and his entertainment and his own needs. You know, Jesus told stories, and as he told them would be saying, who do you identify with? Who do you identify with? And that's challenging. If you identify with Lazarus today, which some of you may, as someone who needs care, as someone who perhaps feels left out, if so, I hope and pray that what happens real soon is you will experience connection and friendship and love and support and welcome from the people of this community of faith. I know many, many people have experienced that kind of open embrace from a lot of you. But for me, as I read that story, and perhaps the way you hear it is, I'm the rich man in that story. Still alive, but I'm the rich man. You know, we may not be Bill Gates. None of us really have that kind of wealth. But when you compare ourselves in Montgomery County to the rest of the world, we are the rich people. And I think that what that means to me, at least the way I interpret it, I interpret that to mean God is saying to David, look beyond yourself. Look to be more generous. Look to be more inclusive, more loving, and more attentive to the people around you. You clearly are probably ignoring some people in need. And God's saying to me, wake up. Who can you help? Who can you be more inviting? Who can you say, please, please join us because we want to love you? As a church, this church, Good Shepherd, we are blessed in so many ways. We have great resources and great talent, but we're not just here to have a party amongst ourselves. Parties are great, but we realize one of the reasons we celebrate and worship and gather is so that we can go out into the world and welcome those outside the gate and say, our table's open, come and join us. That's who we're supposed to be. That's who I'm supposed to be. Let's do it. Amen.